California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. We will entertain a maximum of 2 questions for each speaker. For additional questions, please write them in the chat, and we will answer them at the end of the whole presentation. Let us hear a few words from our program manager, Jessica Geisler.
Hi there, good afternoon. My name is Jessica Geisler. I am the Group Program Manager for the Policy Outreach and Data team, part of the Department of Environmental Health and Quality. I work closely with Jessel, and I'm so excited to be here this afternoon to speak with you. We have representatives from 27 different nonprofit organizations. So it's great to see your faces for those of you who have your cameras on, and we have wonderful content to go through. We also have representatives from all 13 different stakeholders who are part of the approval process. And Jessel's going to walk through that process with you and also introduce you to speakers from each of those different groups. I'd also like to acknowledge 2 different individuals who are part of the Board of Supervisors offices here in San Diego. We've got Ernesto Castaneda, who's part of District 1. And then also we have Hunter McDonald, who's part of District 2. So thank you so much for being here today. Also, I am recording this and we'll have a transcript. Transcript may not be 100%, but the recording is available for those who could not make it today, and we will have it available for you to access following today's meeting. I'll hand it back over to Jessel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jessica. The workshop will be divided in 2 sessions. We will have 8 speakers, followed by a 5-minute break, and we will be continuing it with the next 8 speakers, and then followed by our FAQs. Organizing an event requires planning and coordination to succeed. We are thankful for nonprofit organizations who organize these events. These events bring community together, and they raise awareness of their cause in the community. Fundraising opportunities allow them to contribute back to the community by providing school materials, equipment, training, education, scholarship, and more. And additionally, it also promotes the area or the community, local businesses, and helps to increase local revenue. This workshop is specifically tailored for the nonprofit organization, so we can help you to have a successful event. The County of San Diego has 5 districts. All districts has both incorporated cities and unincorporated communities. You can find the following communities in District 1, 2, 3 on the slide. And here are the communities in District 4 and 5. You might recognize your community on the list. Why do we need to know this? This is one of the key criteria you need to confirm about your event, the venue. Community events held at the unincorporated County of San Diego, either a public and private property, shall comply with the County of San Diego Code of Regulatory Ordinance and Zoning and Community Events. The ordinance defined by the county regarding community events as an event sponsored by a nonprofit organization or any agency of the federal, state, or local government that is 4 hours or more and can be up to 4 consecutive days in duration, and the event is open to the general public. Events that meet this criteria requires a community event permit, and the issuing officer is the Department of Environmental Health and Quality. The ordinance allows nonprofit organizations to have a maximum of 6 community events within the 12-month period. This is per fiscal year, which starts every July of the current year until June of the following year. The community event permit is free, but other county departments may have associated fee. If the event does not qualify for a community event permit processing, which examples are the organizer is a for-profit organization, or if the event duration, including setup and cleanup time, is less than 4 hours, how will the event organizer proceed? As the community event coordinator, I can assist you and notify the other county departments by providing your information to them. What I will need will be the event information intake form, event sitemap. The event organizer will then reach out to the different county departments after 5 business days to follow up on the requirements for the permit, for the event approval, or confirmation if a permit will not be required for the event. The contact list of each department representatives is posted on the CEP website. Once the venue has been confirmed that a temporary event is allowed and you met the criteria for CEP processing, you can now proceed in applying for the community event permit. The following is the list of requirements. First is the CEP application. Application must be submitted at least 30 days before the first day of the proposed event. Second is the nonprofit organization must be registered with the California Secretary of State and should be in good standing. The third requirement are insurance documents with the event sitemap and supplemental documents as required by the individual county departments that is based on the activity included in your event. The following are the supplemental documents based on the activities. If the event will have food activity, Form A and temporary events application will be required. A temporary organizer permit is required for anyone who organizes a community event that sells or gives away food or beverages to the public. A temporary food facility permit for vendor is required for anyone that sells or provides food or beverages at the temporary event. Both these applications should be submitted 30 days or at least 14 days before the event to avoid late fee. Currently, the late fee is $184. Now, Form B is specifically for the Sheriff License and Registration Division. This form has 3 sections. Section 1 is for the merchandise vendors. Section 2, if you are going to hire security. And Section 3 is if you're going to have fireworks or any pyrotechnics at your activity and event. Now, if you will be using a county-maintained road, Form C and D will be required by the Department of Public Works Transportation Division. And lastly, if the event will have 2,000 and more attendants per day, the DPW Solid Waste Planning and Recycling Division will require Form E and Form E1. Completed forms can be submitted either by email, fax, or in person. If you intend to turn in the application in person, kindly note that the office is closed from 12 to 1 for lunch time. So again, the office is closed from 12 o'clock noon until 1 o'clock in the afternoon for a lunch break. Once we receive the complete requirements needed for the event, you will be notified within 15 days if the application has been approved and the community event permit will be issued. Or if the application has been denied, a letter of denial will be provided with the explanation why the application was not approved. The following are the reasons why a CEP application may be denied. The department may deny a permit for a community event if additional information required by the department to make the application complete is not timely submitted. And this is also noted on the CEP application on the signature page, attesting that you are knowledgeable, or you know that if the information or the documents that is required for the event was not submitted in a timely manner or not timely submitted, a permit can be denied. The second one is that if the department determines that one of the following conditions may occur, and the applicant is unable to mitigate against if the event will cause an increase in the amount of pedestrian or vehicular traffic that will likely present a threat to the public health or safety to the event attendees, participants, area residents, or others in the vicinity where the event is proposed to occur. Or either if the event will require diverting a significant number of law enforcement personnel from their normal duties that will likely prevent reasonable law enforcement protection to the community in the area where the event is proposed. The department may also deny a permit for a community event if the applicant violated the county ordinance or the state law during a previous community event and is unable to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the department that it would not violate the code or the state law if the department were to issue a permit for the event. When the event organizers submit the application, the first thing they ask is that, how long will it take to have the application be approved? The answer to this question depends on the completeness of the submission. It is very important to know the reasons why the approval of the application is being delayed. First is when the venue does not allow to have temporary events as zone. So if it does not qualify, the event organizer needs to find another location wherein temporary events can be allowed. Next, the nonprofit organization is not registered or is in suspended status with the California Secretary of State. So this is very important as well in order for your application to move forward or be approved. Make sure the status of your organization is in good standing with the state. The fourth one is if the event information that was provided to our department is incomplete or there are missing information, or sometimes the information noted on the application is different from the posting on the organization website. So this can cause a delay in the review process. Another one is if the insurance documents that was submitted is incomplete or has the incorrect information, or the policy is insufficient or missing some coverages, this can cause a delay as well. Also, if the event sitemap has not been submitted or is incomplete, it causes delay because of the back and forth information query. Another one is if the merchandise vendor and the food vendors are missing or incomplete. And lastly, if the food vendors participating at the event does not have the acceptable help permit for temporary events. Now, how can we avoid this from occurring? The following are guidelines that can help avoid delays in the approval of the application. And we are hoping that these guidelines can help you plan your event. First, contact the CEP coordinator ahead of time to discuss planned event for requirements. Check the status of your nonprofit organization with the California Secretary of State. Use the CEP checklist when submitting. And when you submit, kindly submit the CEP application together with the required supplemental documents for the event. Regarding insurance, kindly provide the CEP insurance requirement guidelines to your representative and remind them to follow instructions to avoid the delay due to insufficient or incomplete policies. And lastly, if there are other people involved who are not listed as representative on the submitted CEP application, and they are also submitting documents to all the county departments, kindly have the event organizer inform the CEP coordinator to avoid confusion amongst the different county departments involved in events review permitting. Now, once a CEP application has been reviewed and processed, you will receive an email with the link and instruction on how to check the status of your CEP application. This link will send you to the Public Services Citizen Access website. Make sure that you are on the DEHQ tab. Enter the record number that has been provided on the email and choose the community event permit as your record type. Go to search or click enter, and you will see another window wherein you can find the event information. It includes the event name, the event venue, the event date, and event time. You will also see the approving agency, the status of the review. It's either pending or approved, and the date when the application was approved. We have been updating the CEP application and event information intake form to consolidate information needed by each department in a single application for the event. Other updates will be provided by each department's representative. Kindly use these forms on future events. These are the county departments involved in reviewing the CEP application and supplemental documents that you submit. If you have questions on this presentation, kindly write them in the chat and I will answer them at the end of the whole presentation. Now that we know the requirements of a community event at the unincorporated county of San Diego, our next speaker is Luis Angel Melendres, who is an environmental planner and will explain to us the PDS zoning ordinance on events. Welcome, Luis.
Oh, let me get this ready. All right, where are temporary events allowed? For the section 6106A of the zoning ordinance, circuses, carnivals, and other outdoor entertainment events may be permitted in any zones except for the RS, RD, RM, and RV used in the. These four zones can potentially have a temporary event if it has a valid major use permit approved. How to find the zoning information. So here in this website, on our PDS website, this page on the PDS website, we click on this right-hand corner where it says property summary report, or let us know the property's zoning information. Here are the steps to find your property's APN. We'll do an example shortly right now, but there are these 5 steps. Once we follow all 5 steps, this property summary report will generate, and then the first page will give us the property, and the second page will give us the use regulation. In this example here, there's its zone RR, which allows for a temporary event. To the break, well, right now, if someone doesn't mind giving us their address, we could do a live example right now. Anyone like to give us their address in the chat? If not, I could use an example I have here ready. Okay, I have one right here. I'll go ahead and do this example, and I'll show the results after I have an example right here. We click on the link. There you go. Oh.
Yeah, we will share the screen for the citizen access.
Should I share, or are you gonna go ahead and share it?
Are you gonna share it now? Yes, please. If you can share it now. I stopped sharing.
Yes. Second. Is it sharing?
Yeah, it's sharing.
Thank you. So right here in the Citizen Access website, you can click right here in the PDS tab, Once it
We're
loads,
s-
go up here.
We're seeing another tab, the Accelera
Excel spreadsheet.
automation.
Oh, the seller.
That's what we're seeing.
Let me see. Let me stop sharing, share it again.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Sorry about that.
Let me see. Do you see it by any chance?
I see the slide that says citizens access.
Only the
Yeah.
citizen. Okay, thank you. Okay. Please let me know if you see something on your end.
We see it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for your patience. So this is the citizen access that Luis is referring to.
It's on this website. Just click on the PDS section right on the upper right corner. So once you click on the tab, we go ahead to the reports up here in the right. And then we'll click Property Summary Report on the bottom. Sorry, try that one more time. It's the last section. There we go. And then we input the AP in this search bar right here. Please make sure to input it in this format, 3 digits dash 3 digits dash 3 digits dash 2 digits. If you don't add the dash, it won't work. And make sure you don't add any additional spaces. It also won't work if you add a space. Oh, I saw an example. I'll go ahead and do it right now. It does take a minute or two to load, so we'll show the results after the break.
Okay. So do you just want to make sure that everybody sees this is a PDF website report, and then this is the APN. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and we'll go back to the presentation. And as what Luis Angel said, we're going to provide you the report that has been generated based on the address that was provided to us. So Luis, you can continue for the duration of the event. Thank you.
You. Right. So the period of the outdoor event shall not exceed more than 5 consecutive days. And one property cannot have more than 6 events in 1 year, and there must be at least 14 consecutive days between each event. If the event's going to exceed any of these conditions here, it will be considered a participant sport and recreational use type. The interval between events. So once again, an event must have 14 days between each event. And we're going to show you a few examples here. So the first event is from October 16th to the 18th, and the second event is going to be October 30th. Will this event be allowed? So we see here, there's 14 days between each event. Sorry, there's 11 days between each event here. So in this case, it does not comply with the 14-day requirement, so it's not allowed. All right, this example here from October 16th to the 18th, and the second event will start November 2nd. This one here does have 14 days between. We count up all the little boxes here in the calendar, 14 days, and the next day, eligible day will be November 2nd. Thank you. Here's a list of our staff that works on these temporary events. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us in the future, and we'll be happy to respond to any of your questions.
We open the floor. If there are any questions, we have Luis Angel, so he can answer. None. Thank you very much, Luis Angel. And again, after a break, we're going to show you the report that has been generated based on the address that was provided. Now, one of the departments that's been reviewing our events is the Department of Parks and Recreation. Now, if the organization decided to hold the event at the county park, you need to consider on your planning stage that many of the county parks do not allow events after dark. So what you need to know? The first thing is that, is the park available? Second, does the park or can the park existing infrastructure support the event? Third, what is the capacity of the park? How many parking spaces are available for attendees? And will an off-site parking be required? But most of the large special events are held at the regional park, and they will need a park reservation as well as a use agreement. You can contact the Department of Parks and Recreation at their reservation desk phone number at 858-565-3600. If you have any questions regarding events occurring at the Department of Parks and Recreation, feel free to reach out to me and send your question through email. Or if you have any question, you can post it in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the whole presentation. Now, Jose Barrera is the human resource analyst who reviews the insurance documents for events, and he will discuss the requirements. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you, Jess. So, yeah, like you mentioned, as far as from risk management, our role in the community events is the insurance requirements. So we do require not only the insurance certificate along with the additional insured endorsement. We ask for commercial general liability of $1 million per occurrence and $2 million general aggregate. And the acceptable endorsements are listed there at the bottom. We do accept other endorsements and equivalent too. So if you have any questions or anything regarding endorsements, I'll be glad to answer those. And we always require our county verbiage, San Diego County, its agents, officers, and employees, and it is as an additional insured to be listed on the endorsement itself. A new requirement that we have recently added is if there is offsite parking and there's going to be a shuttle service provided, if it's 9 passengers or under in these shuttles, our standard 1 million liability insurance is required. If there is 10 to 15 passengers, we do ask for 2 million liability insurance, and anything 16 or over, we ask for 5 million. Additionally, we still require these shuttle services to provide the endorsements as well. And next slide, Jessel, please. Additionally to the organization providing the insurance requirement or approving their insurance, we ask for vendors specifically. There's a petting zoo, bounce houses to be providing the same insurance. If the events will be having alcohol, we ask for liquor liability with the same 1 million limit, 2 million aggregate. And then we don't accept host liquor liability. Again, and we ask on our certificate of endorsement, on our certificate of insurance that coverage from the includes the setup and the breakdown dates, not just the day of the event. So if there's setup prior to the event, we ask that those dates, that the policy coverage does include those dates. And next slide, Jessel. And then we review the insurance requirements for the events, and there could be other activities or other that we might deem that, depending on the level of risk, are subject to, we could subject to approval of them. So we could be asking for additional insurance for some specific events. And again, insurance requirements are for the nonprofit events, not for the for-profit events. I believe that's it as far as insurance goes, and that's our role in the community events. Again, any questions, my information is there. I am the risk management analyst assigned to community events. That is it. If you have any questions, you can ask them now or add them in the chat, and we'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Jose. Any questions? If none, our next speaker is Monica Roman. She is a Sheriff's Licensing Clerk of the Sheriff's License and Registration Division and will be providing information regarding their requirements. Welcome, Monica.
Hello. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Monica Roman. I will be representing the Sheriff's Licensing and Registration Division. I'll begin by speaking about our role in the CEP process. So we receive the needed documents from Jessel, and then these get sent to the lieutenant in the sheriff's station closest to where the event will be held at for their approval. The lieutenant reviews event information, and then they sign off the event, or they let me know of any additional requirements or recommendations that they have. Most common have to do with the event security. If events will have alcohol, the Sheriff's Department serves as a liaison to ABC. We wait for the Risk Management Department to approve the liquor liability of the event, and then we send our approval to ABC so that they can release the permit to the event organizer. Without our approval, ABC does not release the permit to the event organizer. And then to the next slide, which is that one, the which license. The Sheriff Department also handles other licenses as displayed in the slide, which should be the carnival, circus, yep. So all these in this slide, each license is handled by a different representative in our office. So if you foresee your event needing any or want to inquire about any of the other licenses, you can email me and then I can direct it to the specific contact in our office. The one that I can speak about is the outdoor assembly, which is basically the for-profit version of a CEP. So basically, if your event is a nonprofit, you contact Jessel, and if it is for-profit, you would contact me, and our requirements are very, very similar. And then next slide. Okay, so as far as activities needing clearance, so activities needing clearance include but are not limited to anyone working directly with children or in a children specific area. So examples are the ones listed there in this slide. The additional clearance is basically running that person's background to ensure that that person is safe to be around children. And that's me.
Thank you very much, Monica. Any questions for Monica? Again, if you come up with question, feel free to write it in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. Our next speaker is Brandy Contreras, an environmental planner who will provide information on the county ordinance on noise. Welcome, Brandy.
Hey, Brandy, I think maybe your mic is off.
So we will go to the next speaker and we can come back to Brandy. So the next speaker will be Mike Cassidy. He is a senior civil engineer from the Planning Development Services Building Division, who will provide us information on requirements if there will be temporary or electrical installation. Welcome, Mike.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Michael Cassidy with Planning and Development Services in the Building Division. So our division covers the unincorporated areas of the county, and most people are kind of familiar with building departments. And so, yeah, as you can see on this slide, we issue building permits for public safety. So it's on private property, so people building homes, swimming pools, other structures. We do the permitting to make sure that they're built safely and properly. We work with contractors and owner builders, and there's a lot of things require permits. So anytime structures are constructed, enlarged, grading, plumbing, electrical work all requires a permit. But we work with Giselle and her team on community event permits to kind of simplify that process for when there's a community event going on. So next slide, please. And so some of the common structures we see for community events are things like grandstands and stages, things like that, bleachers, things that are set up for the duration of the event, but then they're taken down. And so normally we're looking at the CEP application for the section and if there's any temporary structures. And then also we look at the event map. So if your event map shows that you have a stage, it may be a stage that's already built as part of the facility or the park. So it is helpful to know that it's an existing stage, and then we're not going to need anything else. And so, yeah, we're kind of checking the application and the event map. In some cases, we may ask for more information. And usually we want to just make sure if you are using any of these temporary structures that they're set up by a reputable company. In some cases, we may want to have a certification from an engineer, but typically we just get some documentation from the vendor. And some of the stages, if they're really low to the ground or you're using like a truck bed, we're not too concerned about that. It's mainly just things that are kind of set up on site. yeah, so this kind of takes care of most of what we see. And most of the time, these temporary event permits aren't even using these types of structures. So most events we just sign off. And there are tents, but um, we don't have as much to say with tents because those are typically more governed by the fire code, which will be the next speaker talking on that. But that's kind of the quick rundown of what we look at on these events. But happy to answer any questions if there's any. I think the next slide has my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Making sure that in case of emergencies at community events, the San Diego County Fire Protection District is also notified and is involved in the review process. We have Deputy Fire Marshal David Sibit, who is the county's fire services coordinator, as our next speaker. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to quickly go over what we look for because, of course, we want to make sure that your events are safe without incidents and that everyone has a good time at these community events. We're a big proponent of community events. We often have fire station open houses, so we think they are certainly an asset to the community. First off, the biggest concern we have, of course, is having an ignition. Fireworks, bonfires, open burning pits, things of that. We want to have the specifics of those to make sure the water is available, to make sure that there's not brush nearby, and that, especially with fireworks, we prohibit them during any red flag event. And we want to make sure that the people are properly at a safe distance away. We also really care about access. We want to make sure that people have proper access to be able to exit if something happens. We often review tents to make sure that they're certified because any large tent, we certainly don't want to have some incident within a tent and then have no way for people to exit that tent. So we often do inspections with large tents. We coordinate with the applicant to make sure after it gets put up to go out there and send an inspector to make sure that there's proper exits, there's fire extinguishers, and that the company that is providing tents has provided a tent that is safe. Just getting to the access part of it, we find somewhat problematic when you have things such as concerts or beer gardens or things where you're trying to keep people all in one area. And if there is an occupancy of more than 50, we would require a second exit for people to get out in case something happens. And with that, that's what we're mostly interested in, just to keep your events safe. So I can take any questions if you have any.
I have a quick question. If the event is in with another county fire district jurisdiction, do you still do that, or is it that?
No, I farm them out. I work really closely with the other fire marshals. So often Giselle just sends them to me and I verify which fire district in, and then I get a hold of the fire marshal on your behalf for their review.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no questions, thank you very much, David. And again, on the slide, you can see his phone number or contact number, and you can reach him by phone or email. Now we will take a 5-minute break. Kindly stretch, move around, drink water, and see you in 5 minutes. Welcome back. So before we go to our next speaker, we would like to share the result of the query for the APN that Luis Angel of DPR Zoning was able to collect. So I'm going to stop sharing and have Luis share his screen.
So can we see the report?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So here in the first line is the parcel number, the assessor parcel number. The second line here is the address. And if you go down to the second page, you can see the zoning. This property is zone RS, and it does allow for a temporary event. And one thing if you don't know your assessor parcel number, you can always go to the Citizen Access website. Do you see this this page, the Citizen Access website? You type down the search bar, their address in the search bar here. In the bottom page, you'll see the APN. So go ahead and input that in the property summary report, and I'll give you the report here. Any questions?
Thank you, Luis Angel. Any question from the team or the group?
So we have a question in the chat.
Okay. Yes. Go on.
How does it show that an event is okay?
Yes. So right here, let me share my screen again. 1 second. So here in the use regulation, any zone except for RS, RD, RM, and RV can have an event. So this one here is RS. I think I might have misspoke earlier. RS does not allow for events. My apologies. I think I misspoke earlier. So this property won't qualify for an event. The only way it can have an event if it has an approved major use permit. Any follow-up questions?
Thank you very much, Luis Angel, for explaining it. Any other question?
Have a question. If the event is taking over like a county street and most of the event is held on the street, how do you determine the APN?
Good question. Yes, so we need one APN associated with it. So, sorry. The closest APN and that's the one we're going to use. If it's kind of like the headquarters, I guess we could call it. If the headquarters is a good event, or if the zone allows for an event, we will allow the event to happen from a zoning perspective, at least.
Thank you.
Thank you. If an event includes the use of road or the right-of-way that is under the jurisdiction of the California Department of Transportation, event organizer needs to contact Caltrans for requirements. We would like to welcome Steve Wilborn, who is the Public Affairs Manager of the California Department of Transportation and who will provide their permitting requirements. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Yeah, I am the Public Affairs Manager for District 11, which covers San Diego and Imperial County. Yes, Caltrans does issue permits for events. We have many different kinds of permits or encroachment permits that we offer. Events is just one of them. Some examples of work requiring an encroachment permit are utilities, excavations, encroachment renewals, vegetation planting or trimming, surveys, mailboxes, and driveways. But of course, sometimes there are events that people can apply for. One good example of an event that requires an encroachment permit in District 11, specifically in the County of San Diego, in the City of San Diego, is the Rock and Roll Marathon. They apply for a permit to be able to run down State Route 163. So that's it's a very minor part of the encroachment permits that we do offer, but we do offer them. You can go to the next slide. Applicants must complete a standard encroachment permit application. It's called TR0100, and I can provide it after the meeting for people who want it, or at least a link to where it can come from. And it requires that you attach supporting documentation such as plans, location map, environmental documentation, a letter of authorization, surety bonds, liability insurance, and any applicable fees before they're submitted to the district encroachment permit office, which has the jurisdictional authority over the proposed encroachment site. Statutory requirements also include, but not limited to, stormwater, ADA, CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. That all that has been complied with. The term statutory requirement includes both federal and California statutes. Applications, forms, and guidelines for submitting an encroachment permit application can be found online. That's also a link that I'd be happy to provide here for anybody to use. You can go to the next slide. Here's kind of a timeline of how this works. The activity that you see here are the steps to issue or deny a permit. We try our best to issue permits in 30 days, but we're currently running a little behind in roughly 45 to 60 days this year. Hopefully we'll be catching up on that soon. The actual time needed to review and improve your specific application would depend on the completeness of the submittal, the scope, and the complexity of the proposed event or the work. We do hope that you would apply at least 90 days prior to the scheduled event, work, or closure. Now, the other slides are kind of extra, but I don't work in the permits department, but I may be able to answer a question or two, and if not, I'd be happy to forward them over to my permits department to get an answer. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, if not, I'll go ahead and make sure that that actual permit application is available to everybody on this call. And I wanted to thank everybody for having Caltrans as part of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Event brings influx of people and vehicles at a specific location. This increasing number of pedestrians and vehicles can affect the traffic situation of the community. Our next speaker is Danilo Mapala, an engineering technician of the Transportation Division, who is responsible in reviewing, processing, and issuing a special events permit for events related to county-maintained road use. Welcome, Dan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Danilo Mapala from Department of Public Works, Transportation Division. The role of my department is issue special event permits for temporary traffic controls during the event. Part of the permit process includes review of traffic control plans submitted by event organizers, and also review course map, turn-by-turn routes for sporting events like bike events, marathon, ultramarathons, etc. Some of the requirements are the DPW permit application, CEP application if CEP permit is also required from DEHQ. Traffic control plan signed by a traffic engineer or a professional civil engineer. We need site maps, insurance documents, also a proof that the nonprofit organization has an active California business entity status. Approval letter from 3 agencies, sheriff, CHP, and fire departments. Just to clarify, if there's a CEP application with your special event, DPW special event permit application, the sheriff and the fire departments will be notified automatically because they are also part of the reviewing departments. And also continuing, course map, route map, and turn-by-turn directions for sporting events, emergency medical service plan, contract or letter of agreement between the nonprofit organization or sponsor and the event organizer if co-sponsoring the event. We also have the requirements available on the county website. I just want to add, we have updated the DPW special event permit application, Form C and Form D. We have included the special conditions and agreement forms to make it one packet. And we will have it uploaded to the website soon. But if you want a copy of the forms, just let me know. I have my email address, also phone number on the last slide. And for the submission, we need at least 30 days up to 180 days in advance of the event date. So we have enough time to review and process the permit. And thank you. Again, my contact information is on the slide. Phone number is 858-694-3866. Any questions?
We have a question in the chat. Do you have any recommendations to help with road closures?
What do you mean? Recommendation for road closure?
Like what companies you'd recommend for us to reach out to get bids? Do you have any vendors you would suggest over others?
Oh, you mean traffic control contractors and all that? I'm sorry, we can't recommend anybody. So my recommendation is check the website. There's a lot available. Just type in traffic control contractors and also you can independent traffic engineer or civil engineers can also prepare the plans.
You have a list of vendors on the website?
I'm sorry?
You have a list of vendors on the website?
Oh, no. Well, like I've said, we can't recommend anybody, nor a list, but my recommendation is check the website.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a question about off-site parking requirements, or like when our event becomes too large to house to have enough parking, what do you look at off-site parking?
Oh yeah. What we do is we ask, let's say for example, an event is taking place in County Park, for example. We would like to get the capacity of the parking capacity of the County Park. Let's say, for example, you have about 2,000
attendees.
Yeah, attendees. and based on the let's say hold on a second. Divided by 3. So for let's say you have 2,000 attendees, and the parking lot is only about only at let's say 300 parking capacity, and for 2,000 attendees you need at least 670 spots. That's 3 person per vehicle. So the other 300 200 plus, where are they going to park? So that's when we ask if you have overflow parking to accommodate those people.
Is there a like a required distance away from the event, or like minimum distance?
Actually, there's no requirement as long as they're but for maybe 1 or 2 or if it's not a walking distance, we may ask for a shuttle.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And of course, other requirements for the shuttle will be will be asked as well.
Any follow-up question?
If you have additional question, just email me, dpwspecialevent.permit@sdcounty.ca.gov, and I will respond to you as soon as I can.
Thank you very much, Dan.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker is a supervisor from the Agricultural Weights and Measures who will provide information on certified farmers market and temporary agritourism community event. Welcome, Monica. We will move forward and get back to Monica when she's available. Majority of events had food, and Christine Balki Soriano is an environmental health technician from the Food Water Housing Division who process health permits for temporary events. Welcome, Christine.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christine. Next slide, please. Temporary event permit type will be available in our website through County of San Diego temporary events. We recommend you to submit the application for the vendors and organizers 14 days prior the event or before the event to avoid the late fee. There was a correction on the late fee earlier. It says 184 for the late fee, but it's additional 188 on top of the fee. Exception for the vendors with 25 square feet of prepackaged or non-hazardous food or beverages from approved source if approved by the event organizer to participate the event. Next slide, please. Here's the different types of permit for the temporary event. There will be a prepackaged single event, limited beverages, and packaged vendors. And we can try to see through the citizen access for the organizer to see if the vendors have a valid permit. On top, we can click the DEHQ. And on the record type will be, it should be food and temporary events vendor. And we can try on the project name, we can put or search. Here are the list of vendors that have either an application or have unpaid fees or what do I call this one? Have active permit, but we will not know if the most of the unpaid issues are single vendors, and I assume some of them will be annual, but we will not know until you search for project name. Any question for how to look for vendors? Next slide, please. This is the requirements for the 3-compartment sink. It should be 1 compartment sink per 8 open food, no more than 100 feet from the farthest vendor. Overhead protection required. Not technically an organizer requirement. We're washing agreement letter with a restaurant, and each vendor must bring a dish soap and sanitizer like bleach to clean the utensils and equipment. Next slide. For each tent, you need to have a hand washing station that is warm to 100 to 108 Fahrenheit and compatible of providing continuous stream of at least 5 gallons hands-free. Single service soap and paper towels in dispense. Sir, catch basin to collect the water waste from the hand washing. That's going to be the orange bucket that you can get from Home Depot. And a hand wash setup must be inside the booth, each booth. Next slide, please. Here's our contact number, 858-505-6809, or you can email us if you guys have any questions.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If a business is like making cookies out of their home or wherever, and they package them, that's not considered manufacturer packaged, is it, for the packaged vendor permit, or how does that work? If like someone comes to us and say they want to sell prepackaged cookies, items that they make at our event, what do we need to get from them or send them to?
They need to have a valid permit for the cottage food to participate for any events that is here in San Diego. That is a home business that can be, it needs to be baked goods, like the cookies that you mentioned. And I'm one of the I'm the one who is in charge for the cottage food. They need to have a valid permit to participate on the event, and the temporary event with no additional permit required. They need to submit and have approved labels. If they don't, then they can apply for a single event pre-packaged or unpackaged food or permit for the temporary event.
So you're saying they need a cottage food permit and they need is that what you call a TFF permit? or
Yeah,
is
it's either a cottage food permit that is active and that can do a prepackaged. Um, they can participate on the event. Just make sure they aren't. It's a prepackaged food if they want
Mhm.
to sample, or if they don't have any permit for cottage food, they need to apply for a temporary event single to participate on your event.
So they don't need both, they just need one or the other?
That's
Uh,
correct.
Okay. And then if they have a cottage food permit, they should have like a license number that we can just check to verify?
That's correct. That will be the DEH, and instead of FTEV, it should be FCFO.
Okay. And back on your very first slide, the last bullet that you read, could you explain that in more detail?
For the exemption for the vendors, 25 square feet.
Yeah, please.
This one.
Yes. I
Okay,
just
so
wanna
if
think-
they,
Okay, sorry.
no, that's fine. If they have less than 25 square feet and it's a prepackaged non-hazardous food or beverages, they don't need to apply for any permit, or they don't need to apply for a temporary event. Because it's a prepackaged and it's not open. You guys just passing it to the for
What
example,
is,
like the running marathon thing, you guys are just passing granola bars and stuff like that. They don't need a permit for that unless they are passing open beverages or open food, then they do need to apply for
so is like
a
a
permit.
PTA that wants to just come and sell potato chips, single serve potato chips out of, is that like an example?
Yes.
And closed sodas and waters. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's just a small, and this is it's just mainly for a marathon, and it's less than 25 square feet, like the folding tables. That one they don't need, and it's a prepackaged. They don't need they don't need to apply for a permit.
But in my example, with like a PTA that's just selling prepackaged snack foods and drinks that aren't opened, do they need to have a permit? As long as it just needs to be under 25 square feet.
Yes.
There.
And just make sure that it's under 25 square feet. Any
Christine?
more?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to
Go.
add to that. So the very specific for this one is that because the event organizer will be submitting the health permit as an event organizer for the health permit, it is called Form A. Now, in the Form A, they need to indicate that they're going to be having a vendor participating, providing 100% prepackaged, non-potentially hazardous food, and that it is purchased from an approved source. That is the main important information that they will need. That the food that will be distributed during the event is from an approved source. And if you're going to look in Form A on page number 4, you can see under booth name, put there the name of the PTA, the person in charge, and then on the third column, kindly indicate their prepackaged food, bottled water, or prepackaged chips, and indicate also that it is less than 25 square footage. And with that, they will be aware that there is a food vendor or a food participant or for a food provider that who will not need a health permit. Christine, you want to add more?
No, any more questions that I can help? If you guys don't have any question, you guys can contact me with the contact information, the phone number or email.
Thank you very much, Christine. For some events, aside from food, alcoholic beverages are also offered. And we would like to welcome our next speaker, who is the ABC's licensing manager for the San Diego County. Welcome, Rebecca Epstein.
Good afternoon. As many of you are aware, you like to sell alcohol at some of these events, and you will need a permit from the state of California to be able to sell the alcohol to fundraise for your nonprofit organization. In general, we have a pretty short permit process, and if you're already going through the county process, most of this information will be pretty easy for you to provide to us. Our application is a single form application called an ABC 221 daily license application. It would be submitted to either the San Diego ABC office or the San Marcos ABC office 10 to 30 days prior to your event, along with a diagram of the event and where alcohol would be sold, served, or consumed, and payment, which would be cashier's check or money order only. In general, the main requirement for the daily license application is that it is a qualified nonprofit organization. The contact info on the screen is for our San Diego office and our San Marcos office. The basic dividing line for the county is whether your event is north or south of Miramar Road. That's kind of our dividing line for which office. But honestly, you can contact either office. I monitor both their emails, and we can point you to which office to actually submit the application to if there's any question about which office covers that area. But ultimately, I am the supervisor for both offices. So if you send it to one, it will get to the correct one if it was supposed to go to the other. And is there any questions?
If not, thank you very much, Rebecca.
Of course. Have a good afternoon.
Some events has animals activities. Our next presenter is the Assistant Director of the Department of Animal Services, Rachel Borelli. Welcome.
Hello, hold on, shut my door. Sorry. Someone had just walked in. For us, you can go to the next slide. For us, the only thing that we're really checking when an application comes through is if there's a rodeo, we need to make sure that we have a veterinarian that is present or at least an hour away. Also, when we're looking through the applications, the only thing we're really looking for is to make sure that there's trash, that you can get the animal waste away and easily, and that if there is water available for the animals. Most of the events that take place in the County of San Diego, the event organizers are so diligent about caring for their animals that the only real requirement that we have is just for the rodeo. So it's pretty easy for the Department of Animal Services to approve anything as long as you have the name, address, and phone number of a veterinarian. But the petting zoos, things like that, we don't really have jurisdiction over that. We just kind of check to make sure that they're away from the food and that there's, appropriate shelter if needed. That's really all that we do for animal services. You can go to the next slide, Jessel. And this is my contact information. If you have any specific questions or please reach out. We're here to help.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any
questions? Any question for Rachel? Sorry about that.
Please feel free to reach out if you come up with anything later.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Caitlin Lowe of the Department of Public Works Solid Waste Planning and Recycling. She is a recycling specialist who will provide information and requirements on events with 2,000 and more attendees per day. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hi, Giselle. Thank you. Let me just turn my camera on. Hello, everybody. I am my name is Caitlin Lowe. I'm a recycling specialist with the Department of Public Works. Essentially, as Jessa was saying, when events have an estimated attendance of 2,000 or more people, which includes employees as well, we basically need approval from our section for a waste management plan. So this involves how you dispose of your trash, recycling, and organics. So essentially with our section, you'll check off that, if you have the 2,000 or more attendees, and if you do, then you will have to fill out a Form E, which is kind of displayed on the screen currently. It's a waste management plan, so you'll fill out your contact information, and you'll provide a description of how you guys are managing your trash on site. Usually that's through a service from a hauler, for example, if it's Waste Management, EDCO, Republic Services, etc. Sometimes events will have Boy Scouts of America come in and take out some recycling, which is, we support that 100%. Just as long as there's, a brief description of how things are getting disposed of and what's being taken where. And then below that, there's some questions and requirements that we have you, check off and make sure that you understand, as well as having a signature at the bottom. These requirements are basically aligning with compliance with state laws and regulations. So for your events, if you guys have trashes dispersed throughout for the attendee and employee use, then those should be paired with the appropriate recycling containers and organic containers if there's food being handed out on site. And then just basically understanding that recycling needs to be collected, organics needs to be collected, and the co-location of bins. And I think the last part, oh yes. So if you are a large event that's above the 2,000 or more attendees, and your event is charging admission, then we also have a requirement that if there is food being served on site from a brick and mortar style establishment, so if there's like a kitchen based on the property, that you guys have a food agreement with a food recovery organization. Not to say that you guys have to have something to give at the end of your event, but just in the cases where if there is edible food to be recovered, that you guys have a plan set in place if that were to occur. So that's also one of the requirements that we require for understanding if you are 2,000 plus attendees and you're charging admission. So yeah, you'll turn this in prior to your event, and then we will go through it. If we have any questions, we will make sure to contact you. But yeah, we'll then approve the form based off of that. And then once you have finished your event and everything, has passed, if you have admission charged and more than 2,000 attendees, then you will need to submit a second form which is a waste diversion report. This essentially just is for data and tracking purposes to see how much materials are getting diverted from these events and kind of, what type of materials we're dealing with. So on the right side, I believe, it says, the waste diversion report. This is Form E1. This will be due 30 days post your event. And again, you'll fill out your information there. You'll fill out how your waste was being diverted. So you'll fill out who picked up your trash and recycling and organics. So if it's EDCO, waste management, like I was talking about earlier, you'll put that down. And you can request the weights of the materials from the hauler. So if you contact waste management, contact EDCO, they'll be able to give you receipts and record of how much each material was taken off. So it should be pretty easy. I think for the most part, the coordinators haven't had too much issue with that. And also, if there was any donations, you'll want to make sure you do the same thing for requesting from the donation person that you have a contract with. So you'll then kind of convert this into a diversion rate. So we have this kind of included on how to do the equation. And then you'll mark, the types of materials that I guess, if there was more cardboard, or food scraps, things like that you noticed, you'll mark which ones those are. And then again, just providing a brief description, if there was any other assistance or any other type of methods that you were using during the time, or if you had anything that you wanted to inform us on the waste disposal and pickup, if level of satisfaction, assistance, things like that. So that form E1 due 30 days post event. And myself and I have a couple of colleagues that also work on my team with the large events. So we'll usually follow up with you too. I know things get crazy with events, and that's probably one of the last things that people think about, but we'll follow up with you on that. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact us, and we're more than happy to help you along the process of filling out these forms and the information for that. And yeah, my contact information is on the screen. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll be here for the rest of the meeting. So if there's questions, I can definitely answer those as well.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. Any questions? The Watershed Protection Program has a vital role in maintaining our waterways clean. We have Kenny Haskins, an environmental planner, who will provide requirements for special events. Welcome, Kenny.
Thank you for the introduction, Jessel, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kenny Haskins, member of DPW's Watershed Protection Program. Our mission is to reduce pollution in our watersheds, ultimately our waterways and our oceans, by minimizing the pollutants that enter the waterways to begin with. Our daily activities can introduce pollutants such as sediment, trash, automobile fluids, pathogens, and toxins. The image here illustrates common sources of pollution, especially during special events. They can exacerbate the problem. Bacteria such as E. coli, salmonella, are of particular concern during these special events. They can survive in water for an extended period of time and negatively affect water quality and the humans who depend on that water. Oil and soap discharged during special events can persist in water for a long period of time and harm the watershed itself. Oils such as motor oil or cooking oil, even soap, can contain certain compounds that are toxic to aquatic life. Trash itself can get into our waterways. Not only is it ugly, but it can harm an ecosystem on many different levels. Physical debris such as plastic waste can accumulate in low flow areas where it can remain for long periods of time. Again, this not only affects aquatic life, but it poses health risks to humans who, again, rely on that water for drinking or recreational purposes. Next slide, please. How do we prevent all of these pollutants from entering the watershed? That would be via our best management practices, BMPs. We strongly recommend that you cover and protect all storm drain inlets whenever possible, so long as they're within the immediate event area. We also strongly recommend secondary containment. Secondary containment for portable toilets, porta potties is vital for prevention of spills and overflows that can clearly contaminate the environment. I also recommend absorbent mats or barriers whenever possible that we can use to stop waste from reaching soil, water, or any drains in the area. Next slide, please. Covering our trash bins can also help runaway trash. It also keeps everything in one place, nice and sightly, kept away, and it stops trash from blowing away and eventually entering our storm drains and watersheds. Next slide, please. Spill response is also critical. That's a good way to keep that oil and grease from entering our watersheds. Dry cleaning methods are preferred. Absorbent pads and containment barriers, again, can stop these spills from getting to the places that we want to keep them from reaching. Next slide, please. And then at the end of your event, job well done, event went off without a hitch. Please remember to clean up after yourselves. That includes picking up all the litter in the immediate area and removing any of those BMPs that you may have employed during your special event. All right, that's all I have to say on behalf of Watershed Protection Program. You can reach me. There's my business cell there and my email. I'm happy to answer any stormwater related questions you may have. And you can go ahead and follow that website there, and there's plenty of watershed related resources there. Any questions at this time?
I have a quick one. The BMPs, are we able to borrow it from the county like we do the street signs and waste bins?
As far as I know, we do not lend out any BMPs or make specific recommendations like product recommendations. We avoid that. But if you go and rent a porta potty, I can tell you that they commonly are going to offer secondary containment. And then getting those like covers and filters to place in front of storm drains, you give it a quick Google and it should pull up in some resources there. They're fairly cheap and self-explanatory when it comes to installing those things.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you. If there are any other questions, we're going to go to the whole presentation. Are there any additional questions for the group that you would like to ask? We are all here for you to guide you and help you.
So if we're looking to create a 5K, 10K fun run, that's not going to be shutting down any county streets and will be under 4 hours, but it will probably be on county parks property or something like that. Do we still require a special event permit or is it different?
So based on the information that you have provided, first, it's going to be a 5K organized by nonprofit, less than 4 hours. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's either at the park. If it's going to be the park, the first thing you need to consider is you will need a permit or approval for the use and reservation of if it's a county park. Mm-hmm. Second, now, is it going to go out regarding the route? Will it use a county maintained road? If it will require, or if we'll use a county maintained road, then DPW Transportation Division traffic section will need a special event permit. And I will have Dan provide you the details. Dan?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yeah. If it's going out on a county maintained road, you're using the county maintained road, yes. A special event permit is required.
Now, to answer
regardless of whether it's I'm sorry, regardless whether it's a road closure or not installing sign at all, because you're using the roadway, SCP is required.
And if we're not planning to use any county maintained roadways?
If it's as long as it's outside the county maintained roadway, or the road is private, then SEP is not required, because we only require a special event permit for county maintained roadways.
As a follow-up for that, because she stated that it's going to be less than 4 hours. So on the community event permit processing site, because of the duration, always remember it should include the setup and the cleanup time of the event. If it's less than 4 hours, what we will need will be the event information intake form and the event site map. The reason for that is that we would like your safety and your attendees safety during the event. And my role is to inform all the departments involved in events permitting, making sure that they are aware in case of an emergency, they are easily, or they know about the event, and they will be available to assist you in case an emergency happens. So that's how it works if the event does not qualify for the CEP.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question in the chat.
Yes, please.
What is needed for a non-profit dinner less than 4 hours with alcohol and music indoors?
So as what I've said, as for us to know regarding the event and to make sure that you're aware of the required permits for an event, kindly provide the event intake form. And if it's less than 4 hours, it will not qualify for the community event permit, but that does not mean that you are exempt from obtaining permits for the event. If you're going to be serving alcohol, you will need to contact ABC. And then if you're going to have food and alcohol, you need to contact the Food and Housing, Food, Water, Housing Division temporary events. Rebecca, do you want to add? And Christine, Rebecca first.
For the ABC portion, it's the same permit for us regardless of the size of your event. What we may require if you're not going through community events, depending on the size of the event or what type of entertainment, we may ask you to get Sheriff's Department approval from the local substation, but that would be separate from the community event permit. But that's why we ask for the permits 10 to 30 days in advance, so we have time to sort out if any additional approvals are needed besides ABC's approval.
Thank you, Rebecca. Christine, you want to add on?
The same thing. We call it a beer garden. They need to submit a not health application, a vendor application, regardless if it's less than 4 hours for the event. But we called it as an LBS, or limited beverages services, and we do recommend at least more than 14 days to 30 days to look at the application. If it's missing something, we will reach out to get more information about the event and the vendor application.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up question for that? So we can clarify. Any additional question from the group?
Hi, Jessel. This is
Yes.
Belinda.
Oh,
Hi,
yes.
how are you?
Good afternoon, Belinda.
Hi, I had a family emergency today, so I didn't get on until a little after 3. And I don't know if I missed anything because we've got Earth Day coming up here in Ramona.
Yes.
And so I'll be submitting the initial application Monday to get this started. And luckily this year we're not having alcohol. It has not been a good seller for Earth Day. For our bluegrass, that was real, it was a hit, but not this. So I don't have to deal with that. But I'm just wondering in the first hour if there was anything that might be new that I missed. And if so, I saw I see up there at the top that this is being recorded. So if it's being recorded and I have access to that first hour that I missed, I could do that, go back and listen to it.
Thank you, Belinda. Yes, this workshop is being recorded, and once we completed it, it will be available on our website. And I will send a follow-up post workshop email notifying everybody or all the event organizer who were not able to attend today that if they missed this session, that they can view it on your own time.
Okay, thank you. Good to see you, honey.
Oh, thank you. Same here.
We have a question in the chat from Vicky. Is there any way we can get early approval? We seem to only hear back the week prior to the event that we have been up.
So on my initial presentation, the reason for the delay on the approval is that if the application is incomplete, we only can process the application or issue the permit once all the documents has been submitted. So some of the event organizer, they submit the application, and then all the departments were able to review it, and we can issue the permit as soon as I have all the approvals from the other departments. And answer to your question, yes, we can provide the permit as soon as the submission is complete and the approval already received.
I had a question about, I know for security, you need to get the sheriff's blessing, but if you hire like someone to come in and guide your parking lot, is there any special approvals for that?
Monica, can you please assist?
So for that, I think that would be for traffic, like for traffic control. As far as security, the security would be one thing on its own. So we don't expect security to be used for traffic control. Traffic control would be like either you hire somebody else, or if you're able to use volunteers for that, volunteer specifically for that. And if you're talking about contracting sheriff deputies, then deputies will be only able to be used for security reasons, not for traffic or for anything else other than security.
Thank you. Dan, can you follow up on that?
Yeah, we have other events that they use event volunteers, and also they can also ask CHP, because the CHPs are in charge with the roads in the county as well.
Yeah, we found that we've burnt out our volunteers putting them in the parking lot. So we're going to contract a parking company this year, and just wanted to see, make sure if there's anything we have to get the blessing for.
Jose, do you have any requirements for that if they're going to be having a contract with other a vendor regarding traffic, like the ACE, for example?
And but like, you're talking about like if they're
Insurance,
requiring, as
yes,
far as insurance goes,
yes,
from a parking lot, or from what exactly? As far as insurance goes, I mean, if we're having a separate contractor providing like a shuttle service, then we would require insurance. But as far as volunteers providing traffic control, that wouldn't be any insurance requirements for that.
We're going to like a paid contractor.
Oh, paid contractor. Then yeah, then that's the DP. That would be Danilo handling through DPW, and yeah, we would see the contractor's insurance as well.
Yeah, if you hire a traffic control contractor, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if they only just covered the traffic control at the parking lot, but you could probably ask because I've most of the some of the events that we have with traffic control contractors, they do like a package, prepare the traffic control plans, and also they can provide traffic controls at the time of the event, something like that. But if it's only for specific to do traffic control in the parking lot, you can probably ask traffic control contractors for that one.
So we'll just make sure we get their insurance too.
Yes, definitely.
All right, thank you. I'll work with you, Giselle, on that tomorrow or Monday.
Thank you. Any additional questions for the team? If none, thank you. We would like to acknowledge Steve Welborn and Rebecca Epstein for being our guest speakers in this workshop, as well as all the representatives of the county departments involved in community events permitting, and especially all the nonprofit organizations. We are here for you. We are here to guide you in order for you to have a successful event. And as a reminder, we have a QR code that is available on the CEP website. And for a quick query, it can provide you information on the CEP website, our FAQs, how to obtain a permit for public events, the CEP application, and presentation on community events permit processing, which is the outreach from the previous year. So again, we would like to thank you. If you have any questions and concern, here is my contact number, my phone, and my email. And we are looking forward to your upcoming events. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jessel.
Thank you.